Hi all, welcome to my bling tutorial for tonight. So I know a lot of you would have seen my previous bling tutorial where I talked a lot about my equipment and the kind of gems you use and stuff. So I'm gonna go more into the types of bling that we can make tonight and kind of showing you how to build the bling, what different types of bling you can make, how you can use. So I've had lots of questions about different types of things that you can use, so stickers and cabs and all the different types of gems that you can use and where to get them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and then cover some of the main types of bling that I can do. It should probably only take about 15 minutes. And if you've got any questions as we go along, then feel free to ask and I'll try and answer them. I've made a little list of the types of bling that we're going to cover tonight, so let me show you that, and then if you've got any more things that you want to add to the list, then let me know. So I've got the standard princess bling, which you've probably seen. It's like V-shaped bling, sticker bling, and using stickers and feathers and leaves, etc., and making your bling. Festival bling, which is a bit more like this kind of shiny, more statement-y bling. Statement festival bling, which is more of these kind of shapes, which a few of you have inquired about. And character bling, which involves some of these character cabs. So I've got some. There's a Tinkerbell one there, and some of the other princesses and stuff that I've got going on, or even these ones. So these ones can be used as well. So we'll go through that list of bling, and then there's also the bling which can be made just using. Oh, do I have a sheet of it here? I do somewhere. Just using the tulip glue, the tulip fabric glue, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. I should have prepared this really. So more of this kind of stuff. So the stuff here at the bottom where you just use the fabric glue. That's a sheet that I prepared earlier. Cool. So I'm going to start with the more basic stuff and then kind of build up. So in order of kind of technicality really. And bear with me a little bit because I'm holding my phone in one hand trying to record this and then at the same time doing the bling on the sheet. So I've got prepared here just a Polly Pocket that goes in a folder with some V shapes on it. It just helps you align the bling as you make it. And then over here I've got all my different tulip glues. So I've got neons and glitters, different ones here. I've got some I haven't even opened. Silver. Glow in the dark, or I've just bought a new purple glitter which hasn't even been opened yet. And then I've got some silicone glue, so to build some of the bigger pieces of bling, this kind of bling, I use the silicone glue because you see it less under the it dries clear, so you see it less underneath the pieces, and it's better for when you make adult bling for festivals and stuff. So let's start with the initial princess bling. I'm going to use just the tulip glitter. These are about £7 a bottle, and the smaller ones are about £3 a bottle. I can get any colours, so if you want any, then just let me know. And I'm just going to make a simple V-shaped bling using the V on the page. So I'm going to choose, which colour should I choose? Let's go with pink. So I've got all of my gems in boxes over here, lots and lots and lots of them. And I'm just going to choose a few pieces. So the best thing to do is work with a bigger piece in the centre and then move out. I always lay out my bling before I glue it down, just to be able to make sure. I'm just pretty much the reason it's arranged in colours like this is because when you build the bling, it's easier to keep it to make it on theme by keeping to the same or similar complementary colours. So I've just kind of emptied out my thing and seen which gems that I've got that are similar. You can see me literally fiddling around with it here. So I think I'm going to make this one. So one with two, one with one big teardrop in the middle, two circular bits, and then two diamond shells. The only thing I would say about when selecting your gems is just make sure that they have a flat back. And then in terms of sizing, there's not really any rules. Anything smaller than about 20 mil is useful. This kind of size, that's about a 10 mil piece, and that's about an 8 mil piece. So this one would be 10 mil, this one would be 8 mil, and this would be 8 mil. So it's when you get to these really, really tiny ones, they're about 3 mil. And I use those more for the intricate extra bits of these kind of pieces. So I've decided on my colour, and I've decided on these ones. The size of these ones, they're 10 to 20 mil. It depends what kind of size bling you want to make. This one will probably be for a smaller face. You can have, now it's interesting because I've only chosen 3 layers here to do, and it's quite a simple piece, but if you wanted to do up to 5 layers you could. It depends on the kind of size of person or child that you want to put it onto. So if you want to put it on a smaller child, I would start with a smaller piece in the middle and then build up to kind of really tiny pieces, like this kind of thing on the end. And then if you wanted to put it on a bigger child, then you can make them a little bit bigger, and then for adults and stuff you can make these kind of festival pieces. So I just take my tulip glue. I'm just going to pop the lid off for a second, one-handed. And the kind of best way to get a good V shape is I think about how big this gem is in the middle. And the kind of, you don't want the initial blob to be any bigger than the widest circumference of that gem. So I just put a blob in the centre of the page, of the diamond, sorry, and then just the line, a small thin line up to about the corners of the diamond for vaguely how far I'd planned this to go. So if you lay it out first and kind of measure to where it would go, just make sure you don't go too far. If you do go too far, it's fine. Once it dries, you can always just snip it with a little pair of like nail scissors or something. And then if you wanted, this shape would be fine. You could go ahead and put the gem straight on. Some people use one of these tools and put a little bit of blue tack on the end to be able to pick the gem up and put it on to help it if you've not got such nimble fingers, but I just tend to pick them up because I've got really diddy hands. And then the other end I use to kind of arrange them once they're in place, because you don't want to get the glue all over your hands. So you take the gems. You could take the gems and just put them straight on, or if you want to get the effect of the glitter gel around the gems, the best way to achieve that is by putting an outline of the gel, of the glue even, straight onto the gem as well, because if you do that, you do like an outline. Oh, it's really hard to do with only one hand. So put a bit of the glue on the back of the gem, then as you press it down a little bit, as you apply some pressure, so you then pick it up and put it wherever you want it to go on the design here. And then if you see that if I apply a little bit of pressure here, it starts to squirt out a little bit around the edge, just where you've put it on the back of the gem, and that then creates that kind of halo of the glitter gel around the gem. So I do that on all of them normally. I'm not going to do it on all of them today, because instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of extra glue in a dot on the page, just because I'm one-handed and it's easier to do. So I'm going to place this one here and put that one down, and then I just use this tool to push it down a little bit and kind of move it around till I get it where I want it. Oh, and then take the next one, put it down again, just use the tool and push it down a bit, and then these ones smaller, so I'm just gonna. Now, one of the things that a lot of people have asked me who have bought my kits that I've sold previously with the gems and the starter kits, with the gems and the Polly Pockets and stuff, is sometimes they've tried to do it on a different type of plastic. One thing I'd recommend is stick to the Polly Pocket plastic, because I tried to do it on lots and lots and lots of different plastic, and sometimes, like, I never build on this kind of plastic, which is like thicker and a bit more like Mylar, because it doesn't come off. The glue sticks to it, the fabric glue sticks to it, and then your piece will be ruined because you won't be able to get it off. So that's that piece there. These ones take about 12 to 24 hours to dry. I normally leave them for 24 hours. Peel them off where the outside is dried, and then you'll notice that underneath is still a little bit wet. So then I just turn them over and leave them in a safe place so the underneath can dry a bit more. The longer you leave them, you'll notice after a week they go really quite hard, and they're not as kind of flexible after that to use, but they're still fine to put on the face and stuff to glue on. In terms of putting them onto your face, I just use like a Pro-Sade. I've got some American Body Art body glue for sticking. It says glitter tattoos and gems and everything that you can put on your skin. I just use a paintbrush, an old face painting one, and put it on the back of the gem and stick it straight onto the face. It's quite wet, so you have to hold it for a few minutes. But things like Meron Ad Gem work really well too. And there's a few other things on the market that you can buy. But next, I'm going to do one of these style of pieces which are more intricate and based wholly on the colour of the fabric glue. Now, these bottles, the only thing I would say is these bottles of fabric glue, the bigger ones, don't have as fine a nib as some of the smaller ones. So if you'll see this nib, let me just take the lid off of this one. Oh, it's stuck. You'll see this nib. It comes to a, oh, I can't get it in the camera. It comes to a finer point at the end. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's just a bit smaller and easier to use. So, so these bottles I would recommend if you're going to do the kind of the more intricate pieces. But I've got quite used to doing it now with the bigger ones, because I didn't realise that until after I started going to the smaller ones. And that was easier. So so I sell all of these different fabric glues in this kind of size. I've got neons and any colour actually. My local craft shop stocks them, so I just purchase them and sell them straight on to you guys at price. So yeah, so I'm going to take always use, when you're doing the more intricate pieces, these ones with which adjust the glue, which adjust the main glue, always use a colour one, because I've tried using the clear diamond before and it just goes a little bit too clear. Actually, you can probably see that here. They're really quite clear, so they are sparkly, but using just a clear one, these darker ones are much better. So the gold is good, the pink is good, and the purple, the ones with lots and lots of glitter in, are much better. The fabric glue, these ones are £3 a tube. So I always start, there's a basic design that I do when I do these ones, and it's a good one to start off with, and then once you've got kind of used to doing all the swirls and stuff with the bottle, then move on to doing something more intricate. But I always start with a U shape. I'm doing this one-handed and I'm normally a bit more steady, so bear with me a little bit. But I always start with a U shape, and then I kind of add swirls and stuff to it. You can add whatever you want to it, really. So I'm going to go with a swirl at the top on each side, like this. And you're going to put gems and stuff in it and on it too, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I tend to put a big gem at the bottom, because this is my standard shape I do. A big gem on the inside here. And then I tend to do 2 swirls, one that comes out this way one that comes out this way, and then a few bits over the top. So a bit that comes this way and this way, like this. And then I add an extra few dots, so add some dots. Like I might want to put a gem here, a gem here. This stays wet for quite a while, so you can do the design and then add the gems afterwards, and then a bigger gem here. And then I want smaller gems along the bottom here, maybe 3 up this side and 3 up the other side. And you'll get used to things like the symmetry and the design and stuff. And you kind of, once you put the gems down, so you can see on this one actually a little bit that the left side is a little bit bigger than the right side. So at this point you can just go back and even it up a little bit, and then use gems to kind of hide that stuff so that it doesn't show through as much. So what I'll do then is I've got a nice little selection of kind of medium 5mm and 3mm little sparkly gems here. So I'm just going to take some of those and place them onto the bling. So I want to go for a bigger 5mm one in this centre bottom section, there. I'm going to use my tool just to fix it in place, and it's immediately starting to become sparkly. I also use these half-back pearls, so I'm going to put some of those on, this section. Sorry, it's hard to do one-handed. I'm used to doing it two-handed. I'm going to put one, so I've put one there, and I'm just going to even it up on the other side. And then a big one in the top middle. I'm going to go for a pink one. It doesn't really matter which colours you use, actually. I've just got loads of different iridescent ones. And these are just the kind of standard gems that you can buy from anywhere. Craft shops, I think even some of the pound shops and stuff sell them in sheets like this. And you can just buy them and use them off the sheets. They've got sticky backs. A lot of people ask me if you can use stickers and stuff, and you can. It's absolutely fine. I've got a whole box of them here that I use all the time. If I see something that I think is pretty, these ones actually were from a pound shop, I think. If I see something that's pretty and that I like and I want to use for my bling, then I use it. I've got some sequins here. It's not kind of like with kind of cosmetic glitter where you have to be really careful, because these are stuck to the glue, and the likeliness of them falling out and kind of going anywhere near a child's eye is going to be really, really slim. So you don't have to worry about worry about it in the same way that you do with the cosmetic glitter. So I've got some of these giant stars, and I've got some iridescent butterflies that I use, lots and lots of different sequins. So I'm just going to stick one or two more gems on this to make it pretty, and then I'll come back to this one later and finish it off. But it stays wet for ages, so you don't have to rush it. You can take your time with it and kind of apply all the little gems and stuff that you need. So that's a fabric glue piece. That's a fabric glue piece, that one. Done fully in fabric glue. I'm going to just put a bigger one on this section here to show you why I made those dots as to where I was going to place the bling. And then I'm going to move on to do a character piece. Actually, I'm going to do 2 character pieces today. I'm going to use one of these ones. So this is like a really flat cap. These ones can actually just be stuck straight onto the face if you didn't want to make them into bling. But I like to add a few extra gems and stuff just to make it look a bit more special. Sorry, my camera's a bit dirty, I've just realised. To make it look a little bit more special. And then I'm also going to do one of these ones in Tinkerbell, just so I can show you how to use those. So these pieces are about 15mm, and these ones are 25mm, so these are a little bit bigger, so you could just stick these. What I normally do is take them and just, oh, it's upside down, take it and just stick it here straight onto the child's face, maybe add a few more gems. But they look really pretty, and then have like, I normally do like a rainbow coming out with one of these on the end with some flowers and roses up here. It's not actually a sticker, it's a bit of plastic, but yes, it is My Little Pony. I've got hundreds of different ones, so you can, let me show you, look at my face. So I've got lots of different princesses, there's Little Mermaid ones, there's some of the baby princess Disney ones, again, My Little Mermaid. I've got My Little Pony, I've got some Trolls ones, but they're perfect for character parties, and I do these in full character sets, so they're really good for when you've got themed parties and you don't really know what to use, when the parent says to you, oh, I really want a Disney party, or I want a Trolls party, and you don't just want to end up sitting painting tons of Trolls. They're quite good, or even to add a little bit of extra specialness for the birthday child, something like that. They're really, really good. So so when I'm using these extra, these kind of plasticky pieces, because they're a little bit heavier, and they're harder to stick onto the face, I tend to use the silicone gel. This stuff you can buy from the face painting shop. It's the Dove Craft one, because it's the non-toxic type, which is the only thing that's really important about it. But I've never had any issues using this, and it dries really nicely, and it doesn't smell, so it's good to use as well. So because this dries a little bit more flexible, it's better for the more solid pieces. So I use the silicone in exactly the same way that I've just used the tulip paint to make this one up here. So I apply a small amount in the middle of the diamond. I'm doing this with my left hand, so apologies if it's going everywhere. And then again, just a V shape straight up either side. I've applied a bit more in the middle this time because it needs to be a bit bigger to fit the big gem over it. But then I'm just going to stick the big gem in the centre section, and then I'm just going to find, so this one's a bit greeny and a bit bluey, so I'm just going to go over to my green section and see what I can find. And it's always good to have a mix of, so I do different types of gems. So I've got these big iridescent ones, I've got half pearls, I've got sparkly ones. It's good to try, and the thing that I have learned is it doesn't look great if you do all pearl coloured ones. So even if you were doing kind of pearl bows and stuff, when you're building the rest of the gem, use something iridescent next to it, or use something that's kind of more rhinestoney next to it to give it a pop, because the contrast in it really helps. Makes the gems stand out. So this one's quite a shiny one, so I can use some. I'm going to use some pearls and some half pearls and some half mini iridescent. These ones are called jelly cabs. So these big character pieces are called cabochons. If you want, I'll type it afterwards so that you know how to spell it. And then these little ones are called jelly cabs, and then the rest of them are just called flat back cabs. Cool. So I'm just pulling out a few more pieces, just some blue ones, to add to the piece. So I've gone for some of these. Just try and find two the same. Oh, they're all slightly different colours. There we go. Cool. So I've gone for I'm going to go for 4 pieces here, and build it a little bit bigger than I did the other one. Cool. So you just place it on the page as you would normally. So I'm going to put the half bead, half pearl one next to the design, and then build up to the higher, to the more vibrant colours. You don't have to do what you did with what we did with the fabric glue, and put it on the back of the gem. I'm just putting a little bit more glue down. Cool. So taking these ones and putting them onto the page, just next to the lines will help you. The lines will already be there to help you know where to put the gems. So that's good. And you can see here, I've got to the end of where I pre-glued. So if you get to the end of where you pre-glued and you don't yet have and you run out of glue, just add a little bit extra at the ends. You just have to make sure it overlaps with the bead next to it, with the gem next to it. And I'm just going to add these two final ones onto the end. So this one on that end, this one on that end. And if it's a little bit messy, it doesn't matter. Just once it's dried, which takes about 12 to 16 hours with the silicone gel. Just once it's dried, then just chop it off with a little bit of nail scissors. It's easy to kind of pull away. And then this one, I've decided I might want to make it a little bit more special if it's going to go to a birthday girl and you want to make it look really elaborate. You can just do that by adding extra little tiny gems all around some of the bigger ones, and it just makes it look like you've just gone to a lot more effort and a lot more detail, and it kind of makes it stand out a little bit more. So I often put them just underneath, in between where the joins, where the cabs go, and I just put a dot of glue, and then just take the gem and stick it on. It kind of gives the edges a nice sparkly look. So I'm going to put one on the top and one on the underneath of each of these corners here. So one on there, one on there, one in there, one in there. And it needs to be a really tiny amount of glue. And it just, you can see it just kind of finishes it off a little bit. And then sometimes I also build the gems upwards, so you can add maybe pieces on the back or even on top of other gems. So here, where it's like flat on the top, this one here, where it's flat on the top, you could always add another gem on top of that. So you put a bit of glue on the top and just add another sparkly one on top of there. So these I call character pieces. I don't know what other people call them, but I've kind of given each of my blings names just so that I can keep track of what I'm doing at any one time. I can make up to 100 a day of these at some points when I sit for a weekend and have a good go at it. So yeah. So that's so then you've got a nice, beautiful kind of blingy princess piece, and these are perfect. I normally give them free to the birthday girl if I'm at a party, or if a parent asks for bling specifically because they've seen it at another party. Then I charge £5 to £10 depending on an hour to add bling on, a bit like I would add glitter tattoos on or something like that. And these pieces I sell, they come as themed sheets. I can do them in any theme. I've got frozen ones, I've got all of the different themes. All of my bling is exactly the same price, no matter what style of bling it is, because I sell it by the sheet. So the bigger ones, obviously you'd fit less on a sheet, but they're more intricate, so you pay the same price. It's £8 a sheet, or 2 sheets for £15 made. Or if you want to give it a go yourself, I also do a bling starter kit, which they start at £12 for a small one and £16 for a bigger one. And you just get double the amount of gems and glue and stuff, so it just depends. The small one will be fine if you just want to give it a go. Cool, so let's, I'm going to move on. I'm just going to talk about stickers and leaves and stuff. I've had some questions about whether you can use stickers and leaves and pom-poms and all different types of things, and you can see here that I've got tons of different things. So so this one is these are pearls, and I've got loads and loads of different ones. I've even got some that I actually bought from Paper Chase. Let me dig those out. So these ones, and these ones I use for teens. And whenever I'm using these ones, I use the silicone glue as the back. Put the bit of silicone glue at the back, and then add just a few extra gems around them. Just some of the really tiny ones, and it makes them really pop. And then the teens love these. There's love letters and ice creams and all sorts of things. I've got sheets of donuts and unicorns, and these I found, which are really beautiful, which are stars, just in my local craft shop. These ones I think I bought from, they do them in like pound shops and stuff. So I've just got huge, just tons and tons of sheets of stuff. And whenever I see one, I just pick them up. I like to just pick them up. And then leaves. If you want to add feathers and leaves and stuff and pom-poms to your bling, you can. I would suggest using the silicone glue. You can use the tulip glue. You could use. It just takes longer to dry. I find the silicone glue keeps it more put for longer, but it doesn't really make a difference. So if I was going to do, oh God, my phone. If I was going to do some of these